Hey everybody, it's Jennifer Burgess and I'm checking in. It's been quite a while since I've made a video, but I have a pretty good excuse. A lot has happened. I can't even remember when the last video was. I think I had just had the 3-hour gestational diabetes test, and that was in mid-April, and I was just continuing to get bigger and bigger and less comfortable, but I was hanging in there. Going to the pool helped a lot. So if you have access to a pool and you're pregnant, I don't care if it's twins or what, but it felt really good to just be weightless. So I did that almost every morning because I actually run the swimming pools, or not run them, but take care of them at Furman University. So I had access definitely, so I was doing that a lot. So I had my first baby shower at the beginning of May, and then we actually had another one about a week later, and then we had 3 more scheduled, and I actually only got to attend one of them because on it was late Tuesday night, which is technically Wednesday morning, around 3:30 on May 18th, 2011, I woke up suddenly because I was wetting my pants. And turned out, of course, that it was my water had broken, and I was only 31 weeks and 2 days. So it was very, very early, about 7 weeks earlier than we had anticipated. And actually, my 40-week due date, my actual due date, was July 18th, and it was May 18th, so exactly 2 months earlier than we had planned. So I went into my husband. Well, I wasn't sleeping in the bed anymore. It was way too uncomfortable, so I was out in the living room. So after I gathered myself together, I came in and woke my husband up and said that I thought my water had broken, and he was still asleep, and he goes, "Are you sure?" And I said, well, no, I'm not sure because I've never had children before, but I either am completely incontinent and have had more water than you can ever imagine to drink and am unable to stop the flow of it, or my water broke. So we called the nurse's line. Of course, they said go up to the hospital. So it's crazy, but I was so calm through the whole thing. I mean, Adam was kind of funny because he wanted to take the car seat and things like that, and I was like, Adam, even if we have the babies, they're not coming home with us. I mean, I'm only 31 weeks, so we got everything. We got our bag packed because we didn't have a bag packed, but I had kind of already. I'm pretty type A, in case you hadn't noticed, and I had already kind of gone through in my head what I wanted to take. So we got the bags packed. Adam actually jumped in the shower real quick. I wasn't having any contractions or anything, so it didn't seem like too huge of a rush. But we got to the hospital. It takes us about 20 to 25 minutes to get to the hospital. So when we got to the hospital, about an hour after my water broke. So I guess it took us about 30 minutes to, get everything together. And sure enough, they tested it, and it was indeed that my water had broken, and I was only 1 centimeter. So the goal was to stop labor. I never knew that your water could break and you could still stop labor and keep those kiddos inside of you for several more weeks, but that was the goal, according to doctors, was to try to keep them in me for another 2 or 3 weeks. So I was on the magnesium, and anyway, the contractions started pretty much 15 minutes after we got to the hospital, and they were immediately 2 minutes apart. So it was, if you've been in labor, then you know. I can't even describe it, how much pain I was in. But the worst part about it was not really the pain, it was that I couldn't get into any comfortable positions because they didn't want me to actually have the baby. So I couldn't get into any of the positions that you would want to get into because those positions are, I guess you're more susceptible to go into labor, or it helps labor. So I had to literally lay flat on my back all day. I couldn't crunch up into a ball, I couldn't lay on my side, I couldn't get out of the bed. I mean, they had to put a catheter in me and everything because, they didn't want me to basically move, all day. And so I had the magnesium and the steroid shots, but of course the steroid shots, it's kind of too little too late if I was going to have the babies. And sure enough, around 4:30 that after, I got an epidural finally at 9 that morning. And they didn't hesitate to give it to me, even though I was only 1 centimeter, because they were trying to stop the labor. So thank goodness. And around 4:30, I noticed I started feeling pains again, so I immediately asked the nurse about getting another hit from the epidural. And she went and got the anesthesiologist, and he came in and he gave me another boost. And thank goodness it was like the one time in my life where foresight was 20/20 rather than hindsight, because the doctor came in about 30 or 45 minutes later and checked me again, and I was 9 centimeters. So there was no stopping these babies. They were coming. So they wheeled me back into the operating room. Adam got back there. My doctor, Dr. Chasten Rourke of Greenville OBGYN, I'd only actually had her one time for a visit, and she has balls, let me tell you. There's no way to put it, because she asked me if I was wanting to try for a vaginal birth, and I said, that I had kind of resigned myself to the fact that I probably would have to have a C-section, and she said that even though in the whole pregnancy both babies had been head down, even that morning in an ultrasound both babies had been head down, but during the day baby B decided to go breech. My joke is that he was like swimming up towards the surface like, no, I'm not ready to go. So since he had just turned that day, she said that if I wanted to go for it, that she was willing to go for it and try a vaginal birth and try to manipulate the baby, and that she did. I pushed for a little over an hour for baby A, and it was an effort, and he just kept going down and coming back, and going down and coming back. So I was joking around saying it was like a game of whack-a-mole, where the moles pop up and you like bang them with the hammer. I had Jake Thomas Burgess. I had him at 6:06 p.m. on May 18th, 2011, and 18 minutes later, after some internal and external manipulation from the doctors and nurses, I had Declan Russell Burgess, and that was at 6:24. They were 18 minutes apart on the 18th. Jake weighed 4 pounds 3 ounces, and Declan weighed 4 pounds 2 ounces. Jake was 18 inches, and Declan was 17 inches. So they were actually pretty big boys, which I knew from ultrasounds that I had had previously, that they were in the higher percentiles for weight, but they were pretty big boys for 31 weeks and 2 days. So they cried when they came out, so that made me feel good. But because they were so early, they literally held up baby and whisk them away. So I really didn't get, my one thing about the whole experience is that I didn't really get that magical moment that people keep asking me about, or like the magical, being able to push and see your baby, and because I didn't get to hold them or any of that. So while I love them to pieces and I love them so much, but I would say the birth experience was not really magical. But I am so grateful that that everything went the way that it did, that I was able to get that epidural, that I was able to have them vaginally, which is so, I was told there was a less than 20% chance that I would be able to do that. And I was released from the hospital less than 2 days, actually, after it was almost 2 full days, but, released from the hospital. We've been staying at my parents' house. We came to our house for a little while, and that's why I'm filming this video, but, we've been staying at my parents' house because they're only about 5 minutes from the hospital, and that's really convenient because the boys are in the NICU. They're doing well, but they'll probably be there for, a total of about 5 weeks or so. So we're about, today's the 30th, so they're almost 2 weeks in, so hopefully another 3, possibly 4 weeks, and they'll be out. Jake's doing really well with his breathing. Declan is still getting a little bit of assistance with his breathing. Both of them are still getting some assistance with their eating. They're still tube fed, and we're trying to start with bottles, but they're so young gestationally, so they're still working on that, but they're doing really good with their temperature because they have to be able to regulate that, and we're hoping that they'll move from the NICU 1 up to the NICU 2, which is like just for more stable babies, sometime within maybe the next week or so. But the nurses at Greenville Memorial Hospital have been awesome. I wish I could say that my experience with Greenville Memorial Hospital was awesome, but I kind of fell through the cracks, and I didn't see a doctor for almost 36 hours after I gave birth, and no one told me how to take care of myself, and I had to stay in a labor and delivery room overnight because they ran out of beds, and so that was kind of a mess. But Thankfully, the NICU is actually run by a company called Pediatrics, and it's actually a completely different thing than the hospital. And they are amazing. The doctors and nurses there are great. And I want to just thank everybody that's been sending their prayers and their love and their support. It really means a lot. It hasn't been easy, but it also, you know, we're handling it pretty well. I mean, the boys are doing as well as can be expected for how early they are. I know that this update is so long, but if you don't care, you can turn it off. That's fine. But the guys are doing well. Jake and Declan are little troopers, and we're just continue to pray for them. And oh, I was going to show you too. I've been using the Belly Bandit. I don't know if you've heard about the Belly Bandit, but everyone told me I should get it. And the classic version is $45. There's more expensive versions, but I just went with the classic. And here I am, 12 days later. I got a little bit of a belly still, just a little bit, but I mean, I was out to here, so I'm pretty impressed with it, I'll have to say. So I'm going to recommend that thing to everybody. And I also use the Mama Mio tummy rub lotion or butter, and also the tummy rub oil. I use the oil at night and the butter lotion stuff in the daytime on my belly for stretch marks to hopefully not get them. And looks like, knock on wood, looks like I might have slipped past security on that one and might have actually worked. So highly recommend that too. Anyways, I'll update you guys as things progress, but just wanted to let you know about everything, and thank you so much for your prayers, and continue to do it because it's working so far. And Jake and Declan, thank you too, and Adam too. Bye.